Hello friends, today we are going to talk about setting SMART goals. Well, before we even get on to this particular module, I would like you to think of the situation. Have you ever sat on a train or a bus or an aircraft without knowing where it is headed or the final destination of the train, bus or aircraft? Well, have you ever written a letter to somebody and forgotten to write the address of the person on the postcard and posted without it? Well, if you have answered no to these questions, which of course means that it's basic common knowledge or common sense that you need to know where you're getting. If you sit in an aircraft, you need to know the final destination. If you're writing a letter to someone, you definitely need to write the address of the person, else how would the letter reach that person? Well friends, the reason I've asked you on this thing is because of the fact that SMART goal setting is all about that. Well, you need to know where you're headed in life, else you can be in any stop or any aircraft or any train without really knowing where it's going. Hence, it's important to set goals which are SMART. Let's take a look at the agenda for us today. We'll talk about what is SMART goal setting. We will also talk about what does the acronym SMART stand for. We'll also talk about certain tips for extremely SMART goal setting. Well friends, what exactly is SMART goal setting? Here it is, a goal which is without a plan is just a wish or a desire. How many times have you told your parents or relatives or teacher, I want this, I need this, or I desire this? Well, is it the same as goal? Not really, because if your goal is not SMART, it is not a goal, it is just a wishful thinking. Dreams without, which are not written down are really just wishful thoughts which have no deadline. So let's take a look at what exactly do we mean by SMART setting. Organizations use various tools to make their goals achievable. Using SMART goals is one of them. This particular technique helps you to attain and track your progress. You also can verify at every point where you are going or how much more closer to your goals you have reached. So what does the acronym SMART stand for? Let's take a look at that. Stands for specific. Your goals need to be something which is not general but specific, like what do you want to do? M stands for measurable, which means that how will you know whether you have reached that particular thing or not? That's being able to measure your success. A stands for achievable, which means is it in your power to accomplish it? Is your goal attainable, or is it something which is too challenging or too easy to attain? You need to understand whether it is achievable, attainable or accomplishable. R stands for realistic. Is your goal realistic, or can you realistically achieve it? If you say something like this, that tomorrow I want to go on the moon, or tomorrow I want to become an astronaut, well, is that realistic? Not really. You need to be realistic about your goal, and that is what R stands for. T stands for timely. When exactly do you want to accomplish it? Do you have a deadline? Do you have a time-bound thing for your goal? Well, if you don't have it, then it's not a goal, it's just wishful thinking. As I mentioned before, your dreams are not your goals. You need to mention, make it specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and time-bound for it to become a real goal. Well, you need to make sure that you're asking yourself specific questions. For example, is your goal specific? Means what, where, how and when. You cannot give a generalized statement and expect that goal to become, all right. You need to make sure you're measurable, that is, you're making it measurable by breaking it down into measurable units. Achievable or attainable, realistic, how relevant it is to you, and timely. You need to make sure that you understand that time is equal to money. Now, let me give you an example over here. If you say a statement like, I want to be rich, is that a SMART goal? Well, not really. Because for this to become a SMART goal, you need to make it more specific and measurable and attainable and time bound as well. So you need to say a sentence like this. For example, I want to be rich by $40 million by the end of 2028. Well, now you have made it more smart because you have made it specific, by saying that you want to be rich by how much. Measurable, you have made it by taking a particular amount into consideration. When once you reach that amount means you've attained your goal, and you've also made it realistic, which is 2028, which is 10 years away from now. It's realistic, it's attainable, and you have put a time bound on it by saying that you want to achieve it in this year's time. Now that is what I want to explain with the help of this particular example. Your goals need to be smart and not just generic statements. Well, let's take a quick look at what are certain tips for good SMART goal setting. You need to think about the big picture. How many times has it happened that New Year's comes and we are all kicked up about making our New Year resolution? Midway through the year, rather 1 or 2 months down the line, we have broken all our resolutions and we have no idea how to get back to track. Well, the idea is always think of the big picture, always think about the end goal and what you would want to achieve by making sure that you always have that at the end of your mind. You think of this is what I want to become or this is what I want to achieve. So always think of the bigger picture. It will help you to stay focused. Second is getting down to the bottom. Well, this is what it means. Once you have set the big picture, you need to break the goal into simple, small, measurable actions. This will help you understand how you can make your goal measurable and attainable. Your goal is also something like this, that planning smaller steps make you build the right momentum in the right direction. So always break up your bigger goals into smaller actionable plans, which is easy to make sure that you can carry it out. Use a systemized formula. Goal setting is not wishful thinking. You need to actually write them down. If you do not write your goals, they are not goals, they are just wishful thinking. And hence you need to write everything down. It will help you to get from one point to another smoothly. You will also start getting the desired results if you have a proper and a structured formula. So always make sure, for example, the sentence which says, I want to be rich by $40 million by the end of 2028. Now, how do you put this into a formula? How do you strategize it and make it a proper structure which will help you to go about your goal smoothly and in a nice, functionable manner? The next tip for SMART goal setting is how do you track your progress. So make sure that you are always reviewing your goals. If you've set a goal today, does not mean you forget about it nicely and remember it only after 1 year's time. You need to ensure that every week, every month, every fortnight, you are checking the progress of your goal, and then only it will make sense to have a SMART goal. Next tip for setting SMART goals is set an end date. Well, if you do not have an end date, you will not know whether you are going to achieve your goals or no. So always have a deadline, a timeline, so that you know that this much is what is left to do and you can always track your progress. So always have a end time or a timeline for your goals. Well friends, that brings us to this end of a beautiful topic which is known as SMART goal setting, which is one of the topic which I'm very passionate about training people on. I do hope you have understood how to set your SMART goals, making sure that you also understood the tips of how to set your goals in a smart way. Please go ahead, set your SMART goals right now. Thank you for watching us. Please like, watch and share our videos. Do feel free to leave your comments in the comment box. Thank you once again.